Hello, welcome everybody to Two Facet Podcast, the podcast where we talk about building digital products. I'm your co-host. My name is Juncal Gonzalez, and I'm here with
Matt Mikulski. Hello, welcome.
Welcome. And for today, we have an episode that is slightly different than usual.
Yeah.
So we had a comment from one of our listeners in the Shape Up episode. So we were talking about Shape Up methodology and how we use it, and we got one comment from one of our users talking about Scrum and how they apply Scrum in their company.
Yeah.
So basically we wanted to reply to some topics because there were very interesting points.
And wanted to follow up, basically, it's always great to get into some kind of a discussion with community, and replying in comments would take a long block of text, and we are video YouTubers, so let's do an episode here.
So that's what we do.
Yeah, so let's start with it, no?
Yes.
So the first thing that we heard from this comment, but I would say it's something you can get from watching that video, is that, we don't fully understand or understood Scrum or Kanban, and we were actively searching for something better instead of trying to understand better whatever we have already and embrace it and work on it. I would say it's not like this. I would say maybe different way around. I would not say we had a lot of problems with
Scrum per se for being Scrum.
The framework we were using, because everybody uses a bit of their own Scrum version. But it was more like we found a book, we read it, and then it was super, like the promises they were making fitted very much our context, no?
Yes.
And the stuff, how we were thinking about work in general. So maybe in the original episode, we actually started from like what was not working before you read the book. But it wasn't that much, no? We were not like miserable searching for some solution and help because we were producing bad stuff, and then Shape Up was a Jesus or something.
It's more like there were things that were improved, but it is true that there is no perfect process.
Yeah.
So we had challenges before, and we have challenges as well with Shape Up. It's not that there everything
are challenges.
Is solved. So
yeah, for sure. And then recently the author of a Shape Up book also published a Shape Up comments after coaching from it and actually doing it with a lot of teams, etc. And even there are things like, hey, okay, and then in those cases you should have a bit of paper, and a bit of process over it so it scales better, etc. So it's not that it's a silver bullet. We don't believe Scrum or Kanban or any other methodology is bad, actually. In a team that Juncal is working in, nowadays you're working in Kanban.
Yes, we're doing Kanban because for some reason we found it better for this moment than Shape Up. So.
And for the problems you're working, it's just better, in whatever means better for a given scenario. So it's not that we hate Scrum and we wanted to, hate on it during the video. But in fact, there are a few things that we do like in Shape Up that are a bit different, and we want to go through different parts of a comment that we got. So so one thing that we were saying for a Shape Up to be different is in more, I don't know how to call it, not classic, but let's say in a Scrum versus Shape Up. In a Shape Up you work with something that is discovered work.
Yes.
So basically you start with nothing and you take the shovel, put it in the ground, and then you find problems, so you start building tasks. The idea is you build the first working piece, and then you will know, I need user authentication, and here I had coded, and this is mocked, and we don't have database, and blah, 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 blah. And this is the work you start doing with, versus imagined work, no? So you start breaking stuff down into tasks or increments or things like this, no? So you have idea about problem and you already start defining steps to arrive to the solution. That's the imagined work in a book. Shape Up proposed this discovered work, so there is nothing at the beginning. You break it down only in the functional scopes, which are not different values, they are not different iterations, they're scopes, no? So it's like we should be sending notification to customer, and then you can break it down. We should be sending notification through email, SMS, and WhatsApp. And then maybe the team gonna decide, hey, we don't have enough time to ship WhatsApp, so it's gonna be only SMS and email, no?
And the thing is that you're discovering it throughout the whole cycle, right? It's not that you do some discovery at the beginning and decide on it, but you're like constantly
changing those scopes and
those
refining
scopes
them,
and iterating
which
them.
for sure also happens in Scrum, no? From practice, you delete the tasks, you add more tasks,
Yes,
no? But you
yes.
do spend this time at the beginning trying to understand the steps you're gonna take to deliver the solution, which in Scrum we don't. And if it's good or not, in Shape
In Shape
Up
Up we don't,
yeah. And if it's good or bad, I don't know. I like it. I like this hippie feeling of hey, we know that we need to build a house, let's put a shovel and we're gonna find if the ground is good or not, and stuff like this, no?
Yeah. Then also there's one thing in Scrum that is slightly different in Shape Up, and is the stage of refinement, let's say.
Yeah.
Right? So it is true that normally in Scrum, the product owner or I don't know, product manager or something similar will come up to the team with a feature request or an idea, and then you have this refinement process, no? And for me, the thing that is different is that normally this feature request, as you can see by the word, it's a feature already, right? So it has some sort of definition in it. And probably it can come even as a solution with a defined design and everything, depending on how you do it in your team. So there is less room for the developers when they start thinking about the problem, when they start understanding, to change the solution, right? Because a lot of decision has been made in advance.
Yeah. And sometimes, so in general, how, and this is challengeable, how I understand the refinement process, or how I see it, especially like reading the comment, is, the task for a team is, okay, you have a feature request, whatever, coming from the business. We need to understand what's the real problem about it, no? And then be able to slice it into the functional iterations. And then perfectly, each iteration should be bringing the value.
Yeah.
And then through iteration, we're gonna get to the perfect solution, no?
To the full value we wanted to deliver.
Yeah. Maybe it's split it, or maybe it's gonna be internal releases, whatever hack, no? But you're iterating towards the perfect scenario, perfect solution. While in Shape Up, you need to deliver solution in a given time.
Yeah.
And I don't care if it's a perfect one or not. So it's a solution to the problem. And then after a cycle, what we can decide is like, is the problem solved? Not, okay, so not the best solution, congrats. No? But it's not half of a solution. It's like, I would still not ship something that doesn't bring a value to the customer, but it's a full-fledged solution after a cycle. It's not like a first iteration and then we're gonna add stuff on top on the later.
Exactly.
No, it's like you either solve a problem or not. It's a 0-1 thing. It's like you don't solve a half of a problem.
Yes, you start with the problem and it's like, what solution can we build for that problem? Whereas if you start with a feature request, you're in a way starting with the solution. Even if you work it backwards or try to understand the problem, you're starting with some sort of solution. And a lot of times in my past experience, in this refinement, you already have the design done. And I really don't like this moment, because then the developers start thinking about feasibility, you start breaking the things down and all of that, and then there's a lot of things you need to rework. Whereas in Shape Up, since you don't start with a feature request or you don't start with a solution, there is much room to co-create with the whole team what
and
you're going to do.
I still believe it produces just less waste, no? So even counted in bits needed for Figma files, there's less of them. So that's for sure a bit different. And again, we can have the discussion about, okay, but if you cut this WhatsApp from the scope, doesn't it mean you will need to run another solution with WhatsApp on top? And then it's the second iteration of the problem. What the hell are you saying? It's like, not really. So my assumption after each cycle is like, not that I will need to jump into this directly next cycle. No, it's like every 6 weeks we can meet and see, is it still reasonable to invest another 3 weeks into it? Not. Okay, we'll never iterate. The iteration number 2 will never exist. So that's the idea. The assumption is, we may as well never iterate further on this. You should deliver the great solution first day, no?
Yes.
If you don't have time for delivering the best solution in your life, that's a different thing. This is about appetite, no? In a book, but we'll get to this in a second. So the other thing about the client voice and user problems, right? So product owners, and here I guess super important assumption. So for us, correct me if I'm wrong, but I hope we share this view, is like the product owner is just a role in a Scrum, no? So it can be a developer, designer, dedicated person, whomever. And in my mind, this person's job is to prioritize the backlog, right? So you should have on top of the backlog things that are gonna bring the most value to your customers. And then this person should be able to voice out the value to the customers based on those features or whatever you have on the top of the backlog. That's the product owner work for me. So you're responsible for prioritization and having the most important things on top of there. For product management, I do believe it's actually a career path, no? It's a position, not a role. And then it's a bit broader. So then you're not there to solely, let's say, help development team to understand the priorities, etc. You're there and you are responsible for value and viability of the solution. So yes, you're helping the team to bring the value, but you're bringing that by direct contribution. So during the cycle, you can, influence the direction of the solution by the business context, the fact that how the operation is going to work, how the economics work in the company, how it's connected to the product vision, how does it influence the current feedbacks we have from the customers. You need to be close to the customers and even closer to the business, and then you influence it through the cycle. But it's not the role of, hello people, this is the list of stuff to do first, this is why. It's a bit different work there.
Yes, I would say in Shape Up, the prioritization inside the cycle of what we do first, it's on the team, right?
Yeah.
So the team has this information from the product manager, has this influence, and it's the team itself who are prioritizing this.
Yeah.
It is true that dynamics of teams and stuff, sometimes there's one or two people who have more information about the user or who has been a bit more related to the prior stage, and then they take a little bit more this maybe product owner role inside the cycle,
for sure.
right? And it's bringing a little more of maybe information or opinions about a prioritization, but it's the whole team who's responsible for that. Yeah.
And about the priorities of the problems that go into the cycle, because inside the cycle, it's clear that the priority is gonna go by the team in Scrum, most likely also inside the sprint tasks. But there is also one difference about the betting table and the backlog. So basically, Shape Up does not have a backlog, no. So the assumption is, if things are important, they're important. If they're not important, you don't remember them. That's all, no? And if every 6 weeks you cannot remember the important things, either you have problems or those things are not important. And you can agree with that, you can disagree with that. We believe in it. I truly believe in this simple fact that if something is interesting or important, it's always going to find a champion.
Yeah.
So show me one feature request, one thing that you needed to build that was highly important and everybody forget about it for 3 months. Or you didn't hear from the stakeholder the follow-up about like, are you doing it? Are you doing it? No? So it's a matter of saying hard no's to people, saying, hey, not relevant for this 6 weeks. We're not doing it. Come back. No? And then, yes, this means people still keep their backlogs, no? I believe like there are marketing or sales stakeholders that have their to-do list about things I should produce to them. But from my business perspective, it's like, is it relevant the next 6 weeks? No? If it's not, it's not. No? So we do whatever is relevant right now.
And especially in our case that we combine the Shape Up with continuous discovery habits, so we are continuously researching, we're continuously having new information, and the information is very dynamic, so it doesn't really make sense to have a fixed backlog, right? So Shape Up works a little bit better for us, like no backlog, and then we just decide with the current information we have at each moment.
Exactly, yeah. And the backlog, you need to also know that for a lot of product owners, it's just a way to say like the soft no.
Okay, like it's not like, in the backlog.
I'm gonna put it in the backlog.
Okay.
And I saw hundreds of product managers or owners doing just that. No, it's like, hey, I'm gonna put it in a backlog. No, it's gonna be fine. The team gonna attack it, and sometimes team gonna attack it in next sprint. Sometimes in 5 months from now, because this is the sprint of like, hey, we don't have tasks defined. Let's bring whatever is in the backlog. And 80% of time, it's not ever gonna happen because it's gonna be on the bottom of a backlog until forever.
Yeah.
It's not a good practice. No, you should be burning your backlog, but it's in reality, a lot of times it's just a long list of things that are either overdue or you promised them, and then people can come back to you saying you put that on the backlog 6 months ago. How about it right now? And you should have a discussion about what's relevant right now, no? Or for the next period of time, on however long you can plan for. Which brings us to the estimates.
Yes.
Which I believe is super important, no? So I totally agree with the comment from the listener, and you're seeing it here. If you're doing estimates in Scrum and you're doing that in the Mondays, you're a crazy person. You are. You should not do that. We all agree we are bad at counting and estimating stuff. So it's much better to use the abstract, like t-shirts or just sizes, SL, big, small, whatever. No numbers that are 4. What mean 4 means nothing. It means 4. And then in time, every Scrum team can relate. No, so hey, last time I counted that as 4. This is similar, but now I know, so it's gonna be 3. No?
Yeah, basically comparing one to each other, you can size it, and it is a good method.
And you get good at estimating or being able to compare the past experience with the new experience and tell more or less how much time it's gonna take you. No?
Yeah.
And yes, you don't convert that into time; it's story points, but you kinda do. I mean, you kinda do. It's complex, meaning I'm gonna spend more time. Less complex, I'm gonna spend less time. You don't put 3 days, but you still think less, more time, no? And yes, this is great, and I totally agree. This is the way to go if you want to estimate the effort needed for something. The promise from Basecamp is to forget about estimating. So it's a bit different relationship.
Yeah.
So in a Scrum or when you're estimating, the relation from whomever is the owner or a person coming to the team, it's like how much time it's gonna take you to produce solution or a first iteration of the solution or whatever. But you need to know what do you need to produce to estimate how much time it's gonna take you. So either you have like low or high fidelity designs, or it's super detailed, like you spend a lot of time trying to model the possible solution.
Yeah.
And then estimate back on that. What Shape Up proposes is the appetite. So it's how much time whomever is pitching or proposing that to the team wants to spend on it.
Yeah.
Invest, basically, no?
So it's focused on the impact of that. If we solve the problem, how much impact do we expect that we will have? If it's a bigger impact, we will spend more time.
Yeah,
if
you want to invest more, no?
Exactly. If it's smaller, you spend less time.
And a lot of time, I would say, it's like, let's say we had in history things like this. We have a feature request. It comes from one customer. But when you read it and you think about it, it's like, hey, I can make a solid case for a problem solution for scaled number of customers. I mean, you read it and it's like, yeah, everybody has this problem.
Yeah.
Like totally we should do it. Let's do it. And then you write a pitch. You say, hey, my appetite is, I don't know, 3 weeks. It's an easy one, obvious, it's going to solve to everybody. And then the team comes and says like, yeah, we tried. We spent like 1 week into the cycle, and it's undoable. Excuses or real reasons why it's undoable. And then the team will say, in 3 weeks we can produce this. In order to do more stuff, it would take us probably more cycles. No, and it's like, for me, it's then clear. A lot of cases, I will say, I don't want to invest more than 3 weeks.
Yeah, and that's it.
It's not important. It's okay. So let's drop the topic. No, if we cannot find a solution for, let's build it in 3 weeks. Let's not invest more time. It's stupid. It comes from one customer. Maybe if 100 gonna come, I'm gonna come back and then let's invest it. No, this is coming directly from customer. No, but on the different ideas, it's the same discussion. It's like, first of all, is it relevant right now, and will it be relevant in 6 weeks from now?
Yeah.
If I invest 3 or 6 weeks, nothing in between, into the problem, am I gonna be happy? And then compared to other things that are relevant right now, do I want to invest in this or something else? And it's a hard choice, but it's a different discussion. And then for the team, I don't want them to tell me how much time it would take them to build the perfect solution. I don't care. It's like, solve this problem in a quality way, no?
Yes, for the
in
team
3
it's
weeks.
completely
I don't
different.
believe it's important more than spending 3 weeks. In 3 weeks from now, we should be doing totally something different. If we cannot solve it, let's go back to it a year from now, no?
Yes. So for the team, when you enter the cycle, is what solution can I build during this time? So I have 3 weeks. What can I build that solves this problem with this time? So the approach is completely different. So you don't have a defined solution. You will find it out throughout these 3 weeks. Whereas on the other approach, the solution is already defined.
A lot of times,
Yes.
Meaning, so even if you disguise this as a problem, you still got a lot of details of like how feasible the solution should be, etc. before you entered, no, and before you started on.
Yes, because if you need to estimate it, you need to have it detailed. There's no way you can.
Or you
can
estimate some idea in your mind, no, which already routes you to this solution that you had in mind that you were estimating, no.
Yeah.
So so that was the main points. So again, it's not that we hate Scrum or we have any emotions connected to it. It's more like some of the mind models in a shape up are much more important for us, or works a bit better for us without the effort of re-implementing or spending a lot of time, no? So for me, I would say the most important ones were the appetite versus the estimate.
Yes.
This is super different approach and changes the dynamic in a team, no? And what you can expect as a product manager, owner, etc. That's super different.
For me, the more lean UX approach, I would say.
Yeah.
So there's a big difference of the fact that the designer and the developer are looking together at the same time for the solution, and there's not like a dual parallel track of one working before the other.
So it's always co-creation.
Yes, no? This is for me the biggest difference, and I really like it. But as you say, it's true that it's not that Scrum is bad. Probably it's better for some teams and for some situations, because Shape Up as well has its own challenges.
There's ton of challenges.
And some things are not easy. So just this thing of this design working before development, I personally really like it, but it is hard as well. It is design working at the same time as
with development
has a lot of challenges as well. So you can see what works better for you.
And use it. If you or anybody has like more comments, or you would like to pick up longer discussion, please let us know in the comment section, or any way other that you can reach out. We are always happy to talk about it and discuss and exchange ideas, basically, because it's never for us to say like, no, this is the way or that's the way. It's actually stupid to say if anything is the way, because it's like super different cases of companies or contexts. It's even like if you try to compare, this is the thing that I really like in the industry. A lot of times you're gonna say like, but they do it like this in Facebook or in Uber or in Instagram and shit like this. It's like, so they do it in a company of like 100,000 people. Managing this requires you to having layers and communication processes and shit like this. 99% of the companies in the world are not in the context of Facebook or something else, no? It's not the use case you are in. So re-implementing one-to-one that one will tell you nothing, no? So it's more very different context. So this works in the Doc Planner, works in Basecamp, but we as well have in Doc Planner teams that are absolutely against any shape up, and it's like just go away from it with this
some teams tried and really didn't work for them, so they moved to something else.
Exactly.
So okay,
so thank you very much. We hope that you enjoyed this, and see you in the next one. Bye.